Penguin Random House Audio presents Hungry Hearts, essays on courage, desire, and belonging. Edited by Jennifer Rudolph Walsh. Featuring essays by Luvvie Ajayi Jones, Amina Brown, Austin Channing Brown, Cameron Esposito, Ashley C. Ford, Natalie Guerrero, Sumong Kidd, Connie Lim Milk, Nkosi Mabaso, Jillian Marcato, Priya Parker, Gina Rosero, Bozoma St. John, Tanya Blunt Trotter, Michael Trotter Jr., and Maysoon Zaid. This is Jennifer Rudolph Walsh. For my mother, Stephanie, in all her phases, the 4-year-old child who lost her mommy, the young woman searching for love, the single mom finding her way in the world, the bubby who finally found belonging and joy. Even though you don't see what a mighty story you carry, it's your courage and resilience that created my lifelong love affair with storytelling. Introduction. If I told you that my parents got divorced when I was 9 years old, it would communicate a fact, but it wouldn't help you know me better. What if, instead, I told you this? One morning when I was 9 years old, my dad told us we were having a family meeting after school. I was so excited I could barely breathe. I had never been to a meeting before, and it sounded important. Between classes, I asked some friends if they'd ever been to one, and my friend Pamela explained to me that a family meeting is when you decide where you're going on vacation. Wow, I thought, my first vacation. She told me about an amazing ride at Disney World called It's a Small World, and sang me the song about a small world with a shared sun, where a smile meant friendship to everyone. It sounded like heaven. When I got home from school, I found a yellow legal pad and wrote a detailed list of the reasons Disney World was an educational place. I arrived at our family meeting ready to advocate for my choice with all my might. When, instead of calling the meeting to order and asking where we'd like to go on vacation, my parents calmly sat down and told my siblings and me that they were getting divorced, my mind went blank. All I can remember now is how desperately I hugged the legal pad to my chest, wishing I could make it disappear. I had never been so wrong about something so big. That moment was a tectonic shift, not only in my understanding of my family, but in the way I trusted myself and the world. What else did I think was permanent that might change in an instant? How else was my innocence leaving me exposed to pain and confusion? I can still feel the legal pad's solid edges pressing into my hands, the physical, almost shameful evidence of a world I no longer inhabited and never would again. I exposed my vulnerability by telling you about my Disney World list instead of just saying, when I was 9, my parents got divorced, because I want to share more of myself, my history, my soul, my heart. And I believe that sharing my full humanity honors you in your full humanity. After a lifetime of listening and 30 years working as a literary agent, professionally midwifing thousands of people's stories, I've learned firsthand that bravely sharing our truth and encouraging others to share theirs creates a type of magic that has the power to heal and connect us more deeply to one another. Sharing our authentic stories can be transformational. Someone may look very different from us on the outside, but what our true stories reveal is that on the inside, we have all experienced similar feelings of heartbreak, failure, betrayal, longing, triumph, and joy. We all want the same things: to be loved, to be seen, and to belong. We all have dreams that our lives will make a difference. Our stories illustrate that. It's all too easy to compare our insides to other people's outsides, imagining some version of a perfect life others are living, while we are left with our imperfect ones. In that disconnect between our perception and reality is a void where loneliness, anxiety, and depression often grow. But there is an antidote, one we all have access to. Sharing the real stories of our hearts, our vulnerable and hungry hearts, allows us to connect to others, insides to insides. When someone hears our story, we feel seen. We know we matter, and we instantly realize we're not alone. That's why I call it magic, because it is. My purpose has always been to amplify people's voices, to build a giant megaphone for people to be heard far and wide. This book will change everything is something I have said and meant too many times to count. Great books are like that, totally transformational. I cannot imagine where I would be had I not been found, like a search and rescue team locating me on a snowy mountain by books. Growing up, Maya Angelou, Toni Morrison, Alice Walker, and Maxine Hung Kingston were my most impactful teachers. Finding me in my lonely teenage bedroom, they shined a light, gave me words from my own experience, and made me feel I belonged. It made perfect sense that I would want to spend my adult life as close to books and their authors as possible. After 2 decades as the leader of the literary division of a major global talent agency, representing and advocating for the most amazing, courageous, trailblazing, and luminous authors on the planet, selling their books to publishers and filmmakers, and bringing their words into the world, living my dream come true every day, something unexpected happened. My dream evolved. Authors write in solitude, and we read in solitude. I've always loved that, but I found myself starting to long for community in a more intimate and immediate way. I wanted to bring people together as stories were shared, craving the magnified power of a collective experience. The universe provided the most perfect opportunity, and I was beyond blessed to collaborate on Oprah Winfrey's The Life You Want tour. I spent 12 weeks on the road with hundreds of thousands of people, forming a collective heartbeat of hope and change. I joked it should have been called The Life I Want tour, because I never wanted it to end. But when it did, I knew there was no going back for me. Something too big had shifted inside me. I yearned to turn up the volume on the voices our mainstream media culture wasn't often giving the microphone to. People of color, LGBTQIA+ people, disabled people, and people of all religious faiths. Out of that yearning, Together Live was born. A speaking tour featuring the storytelling of writers, poets, musicians, and performers of all sorts. Together Live aimed to share stories from a stage that featured a diverse group of people, mostly women and the occasional man, who shared a desire for a more compassionate, equal, and just world. We made sure that ticket prices were affordable so that everyone with a hungry heart would be welcome. We set sail in the fall of 2016, and for 4 years, our traveling love rally, including the contributors in this anthology, communed with 50,000 kindred spirits. The word most often used to describe our event was life-changing. Life-changing. Yet all we did was sit on a couch on stage, share our wholehearted truths, and ask the audience to do the same. We entered every night as strangers in a new city and ended every night as a family, dancing, laughing, and crying together. When it became clear that we would not be able to gather in theaters around the country in 2020, many of the outrageously talented and generous souls who had participated in Together Live decided to share their stories in book form. This anthology is the result of this effort. The title, Hungry Hearts, came from Sue Monk Kidd's essay, Women on the Loose, in which she describes a big hungry thing in her heart that was pushing her to write when she, quote, knew nothing about being a writer, end quote. Reading Sue's brilliant words, I wondered, what do our deepest heart's desires say about who we are? What does the hunger in our hearts motivate us to do? When we listen to what our hearts have to say, what do we hear? The incredible essays in this collection offer a range of answers to these questions. This anthology features the work of an intersectional group of storytellers writing with their own unique perspective.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?